In the free state of Colorado, we'll fight against any attempt to rob us of our freedom. In the free state of Colorado, we understand what government is and isn't here to do. We're talking about gun safety, and we're talking about how we can make sure that people who choose to buy guns, first of all, are able to choose the gun they want here in Colorado for sport, for hunting, for home defense, but also that they're properly trained, that if you're going to have especially the more advanced kind of weaponry, that you have a gun safety course, including safe storage. We have some safe storage laws that we put in place in prior sessions as well, and many other aspects that can improve the safety if you have the proper instruction. And of course, for people who've already been through our hunter training courses at Colorado Parks and Wildlife, that's a smaller additional course. I think it's 3 or 4 hours for those who choose to be gun owners or buy some of the weaponry with detachable magazines. For instance, another law we have is the magazine size law. So it's very important that people are educated in that, know about their legal responsibility as they choose to exercise their Second Amendment rights.
About that controversy surrounding TDA. It was back in August when this office put out a news release alerting the state and the country to the potential impact of TDA. That launched weeks of controversy. Were they here? Were they not here? As you look in the rearview mirror and now know what you know, what was the significance of that email, that notification back in August?
So let me tell you how proud I am of the DEA in the Rocky Mountain Field Division. I was on national news talking about TDA when they started emerging in New York City, when they were ripping pocketbooks off the necks of elderly women, and they were dragging people on mopeds down the blocks. And I didn't know anything about TDA. And I learned more about TDA from the men and women of the DEA Rocky Mountain Field Division than anywhere in the country, and that's why I'm proud to be here. So yes, it was a very substantial statement, and I'm very proud of them here, and they proved it, okay? Because now we are learning that the command and control for TDA in the entire United States of America is right here in Colorado.
Citizens are facing federal charges after they were allegedly traveling in a car carrying 180,000 rounds of ammunition in southern Colorado. According to the criminal complaint, Martinez Solis and Ivan Amador Gaviera were arrested after a Fremont County deputy pulled them over in Canyon City for not dimming their headlights as they drove by. During that stop, officers found 180 boxes of ammunition, each of which contained 1,000 rounds. There were approximately 150 boxes of .308 ammunition, a common hunting round, and about 30 boxes of .762 ammo, which is commonly used in AK-47s. Both Solis and Gaviera are now being charged with unlawful possession of ammunition by an alien admitted under non-immigrant U.S. visa.
All right, so you get the gist. Let me go over the timeline for you. March 25th, these two Mexican nationals fly into Denver, Colorado. Their intent is to buy ammunition, and according to the affidavit, it says, further explained that he did not know the intent with the ammunition, but that he believed it was destined for Pueblo, Colorado. The unique aspect here is they had specific marching orders from the time they left Mexico to the time they landed in Denver, Colorado. They had a task and purpose, and that was to get ammo and transport it to Pueblo. Guys, if this was going to be an inside attack, this would be the absolute worst case scenario. They're not just getting small arms. They're potentially buying in bulk from U.S. citizens and U.S. companies. Can you imagine a scenario where these guys were able to follow through with their mission, where they were able to hand over this 180,000 rounds? This was linked, and then you have these guys using U.S. sold ammunition against American citizens. I could tell you from firsthand experience the difference between a small arms engagement and an engagement that has a support by fire position, and its lethality and the amount of casualties it will create will be one of the largest scale historical attacks in our history.
You have some information. Let's just talk about Aurora here. What have you uncovered?
Aurora, Colorado. It's funny, Clayton, you start to wonder how all these cities are connected and why specific cities are being affected the way they are, why certain areas are taking the full brunt of this weaponized mass migration. So I started to dig into Aurora, Colorado, and I started to dig into FEMA because FEMA is where all the NGOs are getting their funding from. So I Googled, who's the director of FEMA? And guess who it is? Deanne Criswell, the director of FEMA. Guess where she used to work at? Guess what her employment was according to her LinkedIn, Clayton?
I know it sounds made up, but Aurora. It's amazing how all of these stories come back to one place, right?
The emergency manager of the city of Aurora is now the director of FEMA.
So what did she do? Do we, when you look at the pieces that she might have put in place to facilitate these individuals coming out of Denver, moving into the city and then moving into Aurora, are you able to trace back any of these programs, positions that would have allowed these violent individuals to come to Aurora under her watch?
Absolutely, Clayton. We're just getting ready. I literally just uncovered this right before I came on your show, so I'm getting ready to unpack and connect all the dots. But there are several other high-level bureaucrats that we can get into that have really phenomenal connections, and I can put all the pieces together for you. So whenever you want to get into those NGOs, we can dive right into it.
Colorado is one of 11 states with some level of limits on immigration enforcement. But Governor Jared Polis is adamant that this is not a sanctuary state. Listen to what he told our sister station, KRDO, in the Springs.
This narrative is false, that Colorado is any way, shape, or form a sanctuary state. We are not.
There is no legal definition of sanctuary state, but Polis's absolutely unequivocal rejection of any kind of sanctuary jurisdiction label challenges both plain English and common sense, because Colorado does offer a level of protection to people who are here without legal authorization, protection that most states do not offer, even if Colorado does cooperate with ICE on criminal cases. So I want to ask the governor about that today. Is it misleading to say not in any way, shape, or form is this a sanctuary state?
We cooperate fully with our federal partners on all criminal matters. And we work closely with FBI, with DEA, with ICE, always have, and we always plan to, because it's part of what we need to do to make Colorado safer. That being said, we also have laws in place to make sure that the federal government doesn't get to co-opt local law enforcement, taking them off the beat of keeping Colorado safe and preventing auto theft and drug dealing, to instead force federal immigration statutes.
If you're saying that we are absolutely not a sanctuary state in any way, shape, or form, could you define what you would see a sanctuary jurisdiction as then?
Well, Colorado fully cooperates with any valid federal warrant, federal order. We cooperate in any way we can.
The disagreement seems to be a matter of interpretation of law. Sheriffs in El Paso County and Teller County saying state law has hampered their ability to communicate with ICE and cooperate in many ways. So we asked Governor Jared Polis about these claims today. Here's what he had to say.
This narrative is false, that Colorado is any way, shape, or form a sanctuary state. We are not.
Colorado is not a sanctuary state, at least according to the governor, but some lawmakers disagree.
The fact of the matter is, these sanctuary state laws were signed into law by the governor.
Republican Representatives Jeff Crank, Lauren Boebert, and Gabe Evans penned this letter to the governor last week, asking the governor to repeal laws that Teller County Sheriff Jason Meixel says hamper his ability to work with ICE.
This policy is allowing people who are rapists and killers to be let out to walk on our streets instead of be deported back to the country that they're from.
Today, Sheriff Meixel partnered with local lawmakers to present a new bill that would repeal those laws.
Without those partnerships, this is why we have cartels in Colorado. Without that partnership, this is why you're seeing a rise in fentanyl, car thefts across the state.
Polis has a different take on that.
What's important to recognize is that your local police, your local sheriff's department, they're not arms of the federal government. We don't want them being commandeered to, instead of going after crime, enforcing federal immigration statutes.
In other words, Polis wants police departments and sheriffs to get rid of crime in the state, not go after illegal immigrants, since that's ICE's job.
It's not the responsibility of the governor to try and handcuff law enforcement.
The bill at the state capitol looks to move $4 million to the governor's office to fight some actions from the Trump administration.
Some lawmakers are not happy about this plan. Fox 31 political reporter Gabrielle Franklin is on it with both sides at the state capitol.
In the face of a budget crunch and targeting over some federal aid, state lawmakers feel they found a solution to make up for some of those potential federal cuts. But not everyone is happy about it.
The governor is the chief executive of our state, and we expect that the governor will be leading any response that this state has to federal overreach and arbitrary decisions to withhold Colorado's taxpayer dollars coming back to Colorado.
State lawmakers want to give the governor's office $4 million to fight action taken at the federal level.
Through the budgeting process, we allocated $4 million of general fund, which the General Assembly has appropriating authority over for whatever purpose that we deem appropriate here on the floor and in our budget. So this money is legally available to be used to defend the people of Colorado.
The $4 million of state money was set aside to match federal dollars in the bipartisan infrastructure law. That money would be used to cover costs for things like litigating lawsuits over federal cuts to jobs and grant funding. Republicans have questions about why the state is taking this route.
They want to take $4 million to fight the federal government for potential cuts that might come to the state without taking responsibility for the bills that we have passed in this building that are adverse to the federal government. And, I understand protecting state sovereignty, but this fund has never been established before.
Republicans also wanted to know why the money is going to the governor's office rather than the attorney general.